Hmm. Damn. The button. I can't get the button to go when it's clamped in for some reason. I'm like hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. So then I take the phone off of the clamp, and then by the time I held it, now all of a sudden it played, so I put it back. It's gonna be the same thing. At the end of the video, I'll be like, ooh, 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 ooh. It won't do anything, and then I'll have to take it off and do it like that. Anyway, so, I need to remember I have this clamp here. I've been doing videos on my belly. Um, so I've been pretty diurnalized lately. Yeah, I think I slept like last night and got up early. But today I got up, yeah, like 7 or 8 or something, and was working a little bit, but then decided that I wanted to upload a bunch of icons because um, there were just, a bunch of icons that weren't uploaded. So there were a bunch of like those red X's that you see, and so I selected a whole bunch of those folders on Dreamweaver to upload. Maybe like 15 or 20. And it started to upload, but then it like started to upload really slowly. And then it would start to upload like a tiny little icon every like 5 seconds or something, or 10 seconds, just ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I was looking at it go really slowly. Oh yeah, this morning, and I even laid on my back because I was just so hooked on the website. I think I fell asleep or I was relaxing or something because it's kind of actually a new thing that I've been doing lately. Because I don't, I work all day long, but you can't work like solid every like hour or whatever. Have to take a few minutes off to like watch movie clips, what else? News clips, that kind of stuff. Um, and what the hell was I talking about? God damn it. I did just smoke a lot of weed. Um, and when I lose my train of thought, I like totally lose train of everything that I was saying. So I'll just have to start from the beginning. Um, yeah, I was working on today, working on my. I got up in the morning and was that like a stroke or something? Do I get like mini strokes? Um, yeah, and I noticed it was taking forever. So I got up and I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time to clean my room because I didn't clean my room for like months, like literally, like 3 months or something. And so I picked it up and vacuumed it, and I even cleaned my bathroom for the first time in like a month. There were like 15 or 20 piles of shit on the floor, and all this like yellow piss coagulated everywhere. So I cleaned that up, and just thought it was good because there were a lot of bugs. Like my mom was saying that she was watching one of my videos the other day and she noticed bugs flying around. Oh, I wanted to say something about that. Um, Man, I saw a bug. I was out hanging out. Maybe it was vlog or hanging out. Yeah, I was hanging out over on the couch like a couple months ago, and there were like bugs everywhere because that's right next to where the fireplace is. And that was before I switched the dirt. It was like 6 months before I switched the dirt. I have two animals living there, a redfoot tortoise and a red tegu, with three humidifiers going at all times. Um, but I saw a bug coming at me. I saw his wings flapping. I saw his, well, I saw the blur of it, but I saw his legs sticking out, just coming right at me. Um, yeah, so that was pretty cool. And but anyway, so and then I did a bunch of like, yeah, I swept the floor in the living room too. So I so then when I came back here, it was still uploading. So I was like, yeah, I need to just shut this down. So I canceled it, and when I started up, so then I remember now. Duh. Whenever I upload those, I have to do it like one at a time or two at a time, no more than two or three at a time. Because when there's a lot, even if they're tiny little files, they're 32 to 20 pixel. When there's too many of them, you know, it just overheats the computer. So I was uploading them like one at a time and then twos and stuff, and of course noticing the ones that I hadn't converted, because there was a whole bunch that I hadn't done that with. So I tried to do it with my Photoshop, but it wasn't working. It's like that's weird. I was trying it with all the different ones, and it took me a while to realize it wasn't working because I kept doing it, and then I noticed. But yeah, so I had to open up the, I guess, the previous version of the Photoshop, and it did work. So that was cool. Um, so maybe like they came out with a new version like last week or something. I don't know. But yeah. So then I spent a lot of time this afternoon just converting. Well, yeah, converting those and adding icons to my biweekly history test page because I was looking at it, and I don't think all the links work, you know, on the one that I already built, the AD and BC sections. So I'll go and check those. But I was looking at, and I think I was checking them and trying to fix them because the way that I built it was really like not. I mean, it was a totally disaster building it because I made a lot of really stupid mistakes. Because I don't know, maybe it'd been a while since I'd done something like that, and I didn't know, it wasn't clear exactly how I wanted it to look, and I had to change a lot of stuff. But and I was listening to stuff too. That was the main reason. If I'm listening to stuff, then I lose track, and then I start going down, doing wrong things, and even hurting it without realizing. But anyway, so there's probably a lot of links and stuff that are broken. But I was looking at the 20th, the 19th century, the 20th century, and I like went to one of, I was like trying to move the link to the Wikipedia from the decade where it says the decade down to where it's going to have the how many pages it is and how much time it takes to get through to it. So I went to the page and I noticed that, and I think it's every year, but it was for the first few years of the 20th century, um, that each month gets its own Wikipedia page. And that are big too. They list everything by the day, every day, and so I looked at the page and I looked up at the time, the AD and BC sections, which have 10 years in each, 5 columns across, and so I was like, well, if I just add one more column, why not just do the same thing with the months inside of the year? Because now you literally have like a map, like an eagle eye map of everything that happened in the whole 20th century. You just click right there and read it, and like, and my website, it's gonna function really well as a, what do you call it? Glass castle, something castle. The people who give you the the formula to memorize things. So you can memorize everything. Like if you want to memorize everything in a house, you go in and you have to associate everything with something, with like a name. So then you remember the name, and then the name reminds you of what it is. Yeah, my website will be like that. Um, cause like with my icons, um, I decided to put icons because I decided to make it look exactly like the rest of it, and the rest of it has the icon between the number of the decade and the decade, and so but those had like six or something different icons representing the whole time period. So it was like one icon for like a couple hundred years, and I was looking at 20th century. I was like, do a separate icon per year. Like this is because I'm super fired up to just totally go nuts with the icons. Use as many icons as I can because I realize there's literally an icon for everything. So and if I don't do it right now, I'm going to do it right later. So I might as well do it right now because in the long run, I spend less time. So and I even probably to the point where I should have done it with more icons when I plug those into um, the decades. But I guess I could replace it later. Well, see, if I wanted to do that, I would have to use the icons of the people. And I did download them back. I lost them. I guess it was one of the files that got lost from my computer. Because shit goes missing from my computer all the time with that fucking Apple iCloud. And then it also replaces the same goddamn files with old files from the cloud. It's a fucking disaster. But luckily, I had it all on Flickr, and Flickr is easy as pie to download. You can download an entire freaking folder with one click of anybody's folder. It's insane. So Flickr's the best photo site. So yeah, I got them all back, but they didn't download with the name. So now I have, and I did them all at once. I forgot to name them, so now I have to go. But at least it says how many there are, so I can match it up that way. I have to rename them, but yeah. So then what I'm gonna do is just convert them all to 32 pixels. Because the icons on my whole website are 20 pixels high because that's how big the letters are. So it all matches, doesn't take any extra space. But if you make the image 20 pixels, then especially like if it's a PNG cartoon, it'll look all right, but it still won't look that good. But if it's an image, you probably won't recognize anything. But if it's at 32 pixels, if it's like an icon, like a cartoon icon, it looks way better than 20. And I was doing it at 20 for a while, and then I decided, oh shit, I shouldn't do it. I should go back to 32. Because in the future, I guess with 5G and everything, computers will be fast enough to read all that stuff. And then you'll feel bad like an idiot for using such low pixelated. So maybe I should go even higher than 32. But 32 looks good because like that's a cool thing. It works really well with the cell phone because like on the website on the timeline on my cell phone, you double click it and then it opens up the whole column and you see the image there really well. That's another reason why you want it at 32. But then if you hold down on the image, like if you just tap it, it'll download the Google Earth. But if you hold it down, it'll make the image take up the entire screen of the phone. And it looks really cool if it's 32, but if it's 20, it's just fucked. So anyway, and you can even tell the difference between I think 32 and 20, even when it's in the 20 pixel state. But anyway, what was I say? Why would I get on that tangent? Because oh yeah, because you really need it to be 32 pixels if you're going to do it with the king, and they have kings and even famous people, freaking everything. So if they do, I need to use it on my timeline. Duh, and you can actually see it though, because that's the thing with 32 pixels. You can tell the difference between all of the different people, portraits of people, even at that size. So it's worth it. But yeah, so they're. I mean, that's the next thing. I have them all without download. All I have to do is convert them. Which actually, because I was doing it wrong before, I was converting it with like background remover and reduce size. But I was like, wait, you idiot! I don't have to do that because they're already PNGs. So it's just reduced size. And when you do a batch edit of reduced size, it's done. in like a minute. I don't have to wait forever. So so yeah, just convert those over and then just plop those down, and then I can use those maybe. Like the most important person of the decade is the icon for the decade. So anyway, but I do like to, yeah. But I did already. I guess maybe I wasted time because it was before I realized I wanted to do it that way. Put down like for the whole of Roman Empire from zeros to 500s. I made all the kings. Their icon was a golden leaf, but I'm going to change that to their actual faces. But you know that still saves a little bit of time because I don't have to like push the spaces out and all that. Oh, but you do have to resize it. Anyway, so on some of them I even do 40 pixel size images on some of the more fancy looking icons that I haven't gotten around to moving yet. But I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do that. I have so many that it could use up memory. I don't know, but anyway, so um, so today, man, my brain is not working that well. I cleaned up my whole house. Oh, and I even put this walkway because I bought these two little walkways for my ferrets, and I put them together. I need to make them so that they're straight, so it doesn't tear it off the furniture. But a walkway to get from my bookshelf here to the top of my bike table, because that's where their big one of their cages sits. So now they can do the full circle. They're free to go everywhere. They can jump up on the bookshelf and then run up the causeway up into their cage and then back down here because they like to get up to their bookshelf a lot. When you hang out with ferrets, you know, the coolest way to own animals is to have to develop a relationship with them. So you kind of force their lifestyles to interact with you. For example, my bird right here. Like, watch this. I can get him to squawk. So that's my cockatiel. His cage is open all the time, but he won't leave. I don't think he's ever flown. My parakeets fly all the time. But so I always hold my ferrets up to him, and then I look at him, and he looks at him like he wants to be friends with him, and the ferrets are kind of like I think he tries to connect with the ferrets, and it was before pecking at the ferrets, and the ferrets were kind of looking maybe submissive. I'm just hoping the ferrets, if I ever accidentally leave the door open, that they won't go in there and eat my cockatiel. But just to give the cockatiel an opportunity to fly if he ever wants to, because I mean he's 5 years old, and don't they live to be like 25? So he's got 20 years to freaking learn how to fly. You'd think he'd learn how to fly, and that. Anyway, it's cool to have him here. He likes to hang out with me. He pecks at my elbow. Oop, you see that? See how my elbow is injured like that? That's because when I'm working on my computer on my belly, my elbow is touching the cage, and my cockatiel comes up and tries to eat my elbow. He hacks at my elbow and tries to like um, knock it, not like literally tear the skin off, you know. And his beak is really sharp. It's like somebody coming at your elbow with like a knife, just hacking at your elbow with a knife. Yeah. So anyway, but my ferrets, they're always running on top of me, and every time I see them, I grab them and I rub their bellies and I scratch their head, and I hold them on my forearm and I carry them around the house while I turn on the lights and do stuff, and I scratch their heads again and I show them the outside, and I just like pet them a lot, and then I throw them down on the like the pillow from really high, One of them jumps up and gets excited, and they play with each other. So when they run up to me and then they lick me, like lick on my feet or lick my elbow, it's like their way of petting me back, you know? Like if you do that with a cat a lot, if you excessively pet a cat, the cat will come up to you and start licking you. So, so yeah, they do that, but they also like run up to me and because I'm always like when I'm on my belly working on my computer, they always try to run on top of the keyboard, which is like super problematic because it screws up my Dreamweaver. It puts like letters, starts typing, and then they have these magical ways of totally screwing up my computer, like doing weird things, somehow knowing the right button to hit to do all these weird menus come up, and I don't even know how to get out of it. It's like crazy. I have to hit the escape, and so every time they run up, I have to have quick reflexes and grab them, and they do it a lot, like a half dozen times a day or more, a dozen, yeah, a dozen times a day, maybe like each. And so I have to grab them, and I think they do it sometimes too, because whenever I do that, I grab them and then I sit up and I like rub their belly and scratch them for like 30 seconds or a minute, like forever. I'm excessively like petting to my animals, uh, cariñoso. And so then I throw them on top of I just do on the bookshelf. I'm like, is that what you wanted? Because a lot of time they look up there, and so I open up the bookshelf, and they like to explore around my bookshelf right here, and also like look at me and stuff. And sometimes they jump down, like they leap and jump down and on me and like scratch me when they do it. One of them actually scratched my nose today. I think it was today. Because I was playing with him and he just like came at me. I saw him in slow mo, like the same with the fly. But yeah, and then that's when they can get up and down their causeway, and so yeah. So, anyways, that's a really cool way to interact with my ferrets. Like have a relationship because I am their way to get up to one of their places they want to go to. So they need me. And so because I pet them all the time, it actually proves that ferrets like to be pet because they're always seeking me out and jumping on top of my computer and licking me. It's because they like it. And when I grab them to pet them, they don't try to jump away. Especially their favorite thing to do is to like be kind of like vertical, and then I just rub their belly, and they're just like this. Or sometimes on their back on the belly, and like you can see them kind of be like. And then, and of course, when you jump them down, they jump around. Of course, they like it, but I guess you can't see it in their faces as much, but yeah, I think they like being scratched as cuddled just as much as dogs and cats. But so yeah, they tore a hole through behind the TV. I forgot to, or I haven't gotten around to fixing it, but they know how to bypass their hole. So because once he got out of it and he jumped from the TV down to the floor, but I think he was just exploring. But there's like weights down there. I don't want to get hurt, but they're young. I guess they can fall that far. One of them fell from the ceiling to the floor when I first got him. Anyway, so uh, so yeah, today I was um, uh, working on. Yeah, you kind of waste your whole day when you're doing all those conversions. But I was adding. I decided to add all the months, so I added the tables for all the months and for all 100 of the years. And then I started doing the icons, and I think I'm up to 1953. So I'm kind of like halfway on the icons. And so, yeah, what I do is I just go. That's the thing that gobbled up all of my day too. So I go to the Wikipedia, scroll down the year, look and see if there's any images for the year. Look, try to utilize my speed reading technique skills. scroll down, see if anything interesting happened, and then try to do an icon for it, for the most interesting thing that happened that year. So, um, like in 19, and it's freaking going to be the most amazing. It's a perfect example of that, like glass house, glass castle, whatever memorization technique. It's going to be the best damn memorization technique in the world because, at least for me, because I built it, But because you look at the icon and you go, oh, I know what that icon's for, and that's for that year. So every time you look at the icon with that year, so then you'll memorize in your head forever the most important thing that happened for each year. And so whenever you do the biweekly history test, you at least got one thing to say for that year, and of course that could open up and lead to the other things that you remember. That's how it works. That's what my website's all about. It's a website of that glass castle memorization technique actually brought into real life. It's a mimicry of how the brain works. It's a booster. It's like literally making yourself hooking up omniscience to your brain, like hooking internet to your brain. Because like when you have a brain, you look into the website and you're looking at something, you go, okay, that's cool. I got to see that, and we go, well, what does the other one look like? I wonder. And if you did know, what you would do is you would just think about it, kind of like how a UFO would teleport through the time-space contiguous. You just think about it, and then you go there, right? You remember it like you want. It's just like in your head. Oh, let me have memories of when I was over here. Oh, memory of that. What a memory of over here. So same thing on the history. Like you're looking at one piece of history. Oh, let me think about what's happened on other piece of history. Well, in your augmented website, you just link there. So that's the beauty of links, because you have links that are that easy. You get to hold the thought in your head. Oh, I wish I wanted to think it so that I can connect these two time periods, and connect them to compare them. But I have to hold that thought. So it has to be super easy to link. So then you go, okay, link, and then it links so easy that you be able to still hold the thought and then you can compare the two. So it's like how your mind moves. You just move around your mind like that. But anyway, a perfect way to memorize everything, because you see the icon. Because so for example, I know that in 1937, I learned it today. That's when the Hindenburg burnt down. Because I remember putting a blimp icon on 1937. Like let me practice right now. Let's do a little example. So 1900, not much happened. So I think I put some kind of technology or something. 1901, not much happened. So oh yeah, like 1900 was like a fire, a bunch of earthquakes. No, no, no. The earthquakes happened in 1903. A bunch of earthquakes all over the world in 1903. I mean 1906. I'm sorry. But yeah, 1900, 1901. There was like fires. 1908 was when the Model T came out. Uh, 1910, a lot of like famous actors and actresses were born. I noticed. That's when my grandmother was born. My mom's mom. I think she was 33 when she was born, and my mom was 33 when I was born. Anyway, 1911 was the beginning of radio. I think 1912 Titanic, 1913. Uh, uh, can't remember, but 1915 submarines, because there were a lot of U-boat sinkings. 1914 was World War One starting. 1915. Oh yeah, that was even 1916. 19. Oh, 1918 was the pandemic. I should have put a pandemic on there, but I didn't. I put something else on there. I need to go fix that. Anyway, see, that's another way I'm memorizing it, because then I'm thinking, oh, I need to put a better icon over there. But 1919 was the first radio, broadcast radio of like baseball games. So I put a radio there. 1920, 1921 was the first. I mean, 1933, 39, 1938. was the first regular TV program in Germany. Um, the Ford Model S car came out in 1928. Because I remember that because I remember it being 20 years after the Model T. That was the first. That was the second model of the car of the Ford. It was like a SUV. 1929 stock market crash. 1934 I decided to put as the New Deal because it went from 33 to 39. 33 I put as a swastika because that's when Hitler came to power. 1930 1936 radio or TV, yeah, like I said. 1939, no. 1949 was when the Beetle got imported to the United States. 1954, Elvis career started. 1960, the Beatles career started. Because the icons that I put there, I put the rock and roll icon in 54, and a rock band icon for 60. Yeah, and that's as far as I went because I'm only up to like 52. And 89 was when the Berlin Wall came down, so I have a Berlin Wall, and there's an icon actually for the specific Berlin Wall. That's how many icons I have. What else? 84, I put an American icon because that's when America kicked ass at the Olympics and all the American stuff. American iconic stuff came out, big time music, and like Michael Jackson, Thriller, and Huey Lewis in the News and all that. What else? Movies, Back to the Future, and Karate Kid, and yeah, E.T. and anyway, 1950 was Korean War, so I put a jet there. 1919, I think. No. 1927, Charles Lindbergh, so I put an airplane. 1903 was an airplane, the first Wright brother airplane. And then 1938, I put another airplane because that was Amelia Earhart was the first person to fly a plane from Hawaii to California. And so I remembered like every year up. What happened? The most important thing that happened every year up, just in the last like hour, a couple of hours of working on that, because of the icons. But you don't have to be the person to build it to remember that, because if you think it as a thing of beauty, then you can look at it. Because I didn't really learn it because I built it. I learned it because I was looking at it because I built it. So if you look at it like that, like I looked at it and being like, oh, cool, then you'll memorize it just like I did. And so that's how you can make a website, one of those tools to memorize it. Memorize literally everything, because it annoys the shit out of me when you have these people who are like, oh, these savants, they remember every day of their life. It's like, well, if you're so fucking smart, dumbass, why don't you just study Wikipedia, you retard, and show everybody how you remember everything that happened in history? That person still hasn't popped up yet. Still the people who remember stuff nobody gives a shit about. And it's the same kind of memory, isn't it? So just study that and learn that. Let's have some savants. So that's why you need to have a tool for it. So, yeah, I was kind of tired. Like, before I did this video, I had a shower. But before that, I even laid on my back for maybe for like 10 minutes or something. It's kind of one of the new things I do to decompress. But yeah, I've been working well. I have weed, and my weed's been lasting a long time. But what? Woo. I think I can see the personality in my bird. Like I can see that he's chill and happy, so it's cool. Anyways, I've been talking for 35 minutes, but yeah. Anyway, I think I was talking about a lot of stuff I don't think I've talked so much about before, so it's not like I'm wasting time. Um, so yeah, that's that. I got me a good canker sore going, but I can't find any more fingernails. Is a bummer. Anyways, talk to you tomorrow. Watch this. This fucking thing isn't gonna cut off. It just like knows somehow.